It's got to sound good, you know.
Yeah, it's the only thing you can trust. Everything else is lying.
That's a fucking hot take. Welcome to Tonal Tapestries, episode 2, exclusive to MuzicNZ. I'm your host, again, Ben. Tonight's guest is Jono Hislop.
Hello.
Welcome aboard, I think.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, so Sounds of a Sphere.
That's right.
And now that's your current project, isn't it? So that's sort of like from what I understand, that's where the multimedia starts to really come in.
Yeah, because it's a blend of like visual arts and music, but also culture. So it combines my 3 favorite things, really. So like, yeah, music, art, and just fucking experiencing life and all of its different myriads. Puts the 3 together. Or travel.
Bro,
you just use a keyword, travel. Like.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll kind of, I'm really intrigued into how that sort of wove its way into your inspiration to get to this place, you know, because that plays a huge role. World music and your travel experience, I guess, must have played a huge role into kind of executing, creating Sounds of a Sphere.
Yeah.
When did you get the first sort of idea of it?
It started as a meditation music project, but people who meditate don't actually need music. it's like it's counterintuitive to meditation, you know. It should just be focused on yourself, nothing external. But nevertheless, it is nice to, you know, that's being perfectionist. It's nice to listen to calm music to bring you down a notch. And I was living in Romania at the time, and I was meeting all these fantastic Romanian musicians, and I just wanted to feature these musicians, but I wanted to feature them in a way where I wasn't trying to compete with them with my production. I just wanted to make simple productions and very chill, relaxing productions. And I feel like when, you know, there's everyone who listens to music from different cultures around the world, there will be some songs that will stick. Many won't, because it's all quite foreign, but there will be some for everyone. And I feel that the more relaxed stuff with beautiful melodies, space between notes, I feel that space between notes allows people to digest unfamiliar things better, as opposed to like, say, just a full-on Chinese orchestra where it's like at you full bore. It's harder to digest all these new scales and tonal frequencies you're hearing, you know. So so it was this meditation project, and then as a weird fate would have it, I was living in this rock and roll bar in Bucharest, and that's kind of where it started to come together, like visually. And there's this little tool, these image synthesis tools, where I could paint over a frame of a person from a video, like a piece of footage, and then it would follow the video. So if someone moves their arms like this, my art style will move with their arms. So now I can turn my digital art. I always made digital arts like these, but they never moved, let alone sang. And so now they can move and sing. And I could have done anything with that. I could, you know, whatever. It could be comedy sketches, it could be rock bands. But I just thought that to tell some of the oldest stories in the world, which are through music, is the most interesting way to do it. And then eventually I'd love to, I mean, it involves all these different musicians from around the world of different cultures, but eventually it would just be amazing to have other artists on board too from those respective cultures. And so that's kind of where I'm at today. That was the idea of it. I went from meditation music, and now it's kind of like I'm here in New Zealand, working with local cultures, and there's a lot of culture in New Zealand. Aotearoa is full of really diverse, beautiful cultures. I thought you had to be in London for it, but when I came home, I was like, wow, this is a very diverse place, considering it's at the arse end of the world. It's amazing.
It does sound like it's like a natural sort of process for you, you know, blending everything together. You're quite yeah, you're quite into like the electronic scene, eh?
Yeah, big time. Really into drum and bass,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Nice.
was pretty well connected to the scene and the promoters there because I was doing flyers for everyone, and so it just made sense to. I mean, I loved music, and I had all these ideas for making music, and it just made sense to start producing. But the catch was that when I started producing alongside some friends as well, we all intended to make drum and bass, but what came out the other side was extremely chill and never anything even close to drum and bass. It was just impossible to produce drum and bass. Yet it was my favorite genre. It didn't make any sense, but
That's
it couldn't do
that's
anything about
like
it, man. That was just fate.
it's like the alchemy of like chemistry, you know, like
Yeah,
something just
yeah.
like yeah.
Something deep in the brain wants to express itself in the way that it wants to be expressed, not how my ego wants to do it, I guess.
Interesting, yeah. So did you learn a lot about production while you were traveling?
Yeah, yeah, I learned a lot. I was living in London, and I was working this pretty shitty job for Westfield Shopping Centre, but like the corporate HQ. And I was just going around fixing their computers and plugging in cables and stuff. But it was near Holborn Street and had a really nice park there. And so I would use their printers to print off every interesting document I could find about EQs and compressors and all of this. And then I'd just sit on that park on my lunch breaks and just read everything about EQs and compressors and production. Like the creative part, I wouldn't read so much. It was because the software, there's just so much to learn. But then one thing that really did make an impression was Steve Vai's, I think it's called You Are That. And it's basically a manifesto of being yourself creatively and what that entails and how to stay true to yourself and how to recognize when you're just being bullshit and not that, and why it's important to craft your own sound. And I think that gave me a lot of
Interesting.
confidence to just be whatever weird expression that I am.
Music that you've kind of been delving into, like the cultural roots of world music and stuff. Like that can't be falsified. The stuff in history that's been passed through, like from a long time ago, you know, when you follow like the roots back and stuff.
Yeah. And just it's kind of dawning on me now, like right now. I'm
Damn.
thinking that like by learning to produce music, I just learned so much about how all of my favorite music actually works and how it was built. But while I still enjoy electronic music, I think there came a point where I just got kind of tired of it. And I think I started to really enjoy that which I really couldn't understand. And I wanted to understand because I always want to understand, not in an intellectual way, just in a curious way. And so I think that's why music of different cultures started really entering my life more. It was always there, this track or two saved to a playlist, but I really started hunting it out at one point. And I think it had a lot to do with concerts that I was experiencing while I was living in Romania and traveling around. And it's just, like you could be walking through the streets of Athens and there's a band playing music, but they're playing traditional music that's over 300 years old. Maybe they're doing their own contemporary twists on it, but they are so much more, Europeans, especially Southern Europeans, so much more rooted in connecting their tradition to the present. All of Europe, actually, all of Europe.
Yeah. Like I had a mean bong before, eh? So have you been to like many big electronic fucking festivals or shows or anything overseas?
Yeah, I've been to a couple. Sometimes, man, maybe it's because I'm a Kiwi, but sometimes they're just too big. They are too big for me. Like
True,
you
true.
put 80,000 people in
Yeah.
one spot, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and then 40-degree heat as well. That's happened before.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, like,
throwing a candy
playing
flip,
like
man.
at
It's
the
throwing a
front,
candy
playing
flip,
like
man.
at
It's
the
throwing a
front,
candy flip, man. It's throwing a candy flip, man. It's throwing a candy flip.
Kahika is so that's you and a couple of your mates, is it?
Yeah, that's right. It's Gio and Trent.
Great, yeah. Look, man, I've listened to, obviously, you know, I'm a massive dub head, and I've listened to quite a bit of it, and I love it, bro. For anyone out there, I highly suggest Mutual Gathering. The video is phenomenal. Jono does some great work on it as well, but the band as well. The music is just phenomenal, superb. It's like a primo mix. It's couldn't get any better, and it truly, I mean, on the point of culture, you know, it expresses like Aotearoa's essence, I reckon, quite well. When did you start? The old, you know, sax off.
I started learning to play when I was
saxophone. When did you start to learn how to play the saxophone, like amongst all of this?
I just wanted to play the instrument that I always wanted to play. I wanted to play it in intermediate when joining the band, the big band, and they were all out of saxophones, so I ended up playing the trombone.
What?
And then I gave up the trombone at some point because it wasn't really ever what I wanted to do, and it's one of those things that when I got older I regretted that.
That's a beautiful instrument.
And then I tried to pick up the guitar, but it just fell flat because I'd just given up the trombone, and I don't know, it just didn't sit right. And so in 2016, 18, started playing the saxophone and went for the tenor saxophone because it just got that heartiness to it, you know, that much deeper kind of low frequency feel.
Yeah, Jono's recorded actually some sax on a couple of Bad Jelly Collective songs. Bushwhacker.
Cool. That's been very cool.
I think you ended up mixing that one hard and fast as well.
Did I?
Which was nice of you. Yeah, but
it
was
that's
good.
That's right.
And that's when I think the microphone slipped into the actual, like, you know, the saxophone itself, and you just kept recording it. It sounded fucking mean.
That's right.
Yeah.
Happy
and
mistakes.
Also saxophone on Run Out, which is like, honestly, that is one of the big pieces of that song in my opinion. So thank you for, and all the other things you've done. Sweet, bro. Any advice for local likes out there who invest in their work entirely, and you know, it's a all-encompassing passion, and they're just striving to, you know, do what they do and get out there?
I watched this Alpine movie the other day, and it was interesting. I feel like that there was this part that just made a lot of sense. Can't compare the two. It was a guy who broke his leg and was just left for dead by his mate because that's just how it goes. Apparently, I don't know, I'm not an alpinist. He crawled back, and he saw the distance he had to crawl back with a broken leg while freezing cold. And if he considered the whole distance, he would have just never done it. There's no way. And so he would get 5 meters and then just be, and it would take him 20 minutes to get 5 meters, and he would be either super stoked that he got there in 20 minutes or really angry at himself. It was a very emotional roller coaster ride. And you know, it's kind of silly to compare to something like that, but the idea that you can only look 5 meters ahead at a time is so true, because if you try to look too long, it's like staring at the sun. If you look at the place where you really want to be, it will just freeze you in place. It's funny because what you look at is like the sun. It's that warm place full of energy and you want to be there, but it has the irony of freezing you in place. And I spent many years in a way being frozen in place, and I had big dreams, but instead I did everything else around that dream. So it's a fucking awesome way to achieve all of your secondary and third and fourth dreams if you have a big dream and you look at it for too long. So, you know, I traveled the world and I learned another language, and and just stuff like that. But I never really did the thing I really wanted to do. And only since just focusing on the next thing has it worked. So it's like, I would love one day to be doing these large scale gigs that involve augmented reality. And at the moment, I'm just really happy doing these gigs out in Cornwallis and selling out a 70-person venue, a little tiny thing, you know? And that's cool. And I'm just focusing on that. And then I'll move another 5 meters, and then I'll move another 5 meters. And as far as I'm concerned, I'll just continue doing this until the day that I die, and we'll see where I end up.
And that's great advice. And so have you got another gig coming up at the Cornwallis venue?
There will be, it's not announced yet. It'll be later in the year. It'll be with a guy called Laszlo Reynolds. He's an Aucklander who does Hungarian and Finnish folk songs. And he's an amazing musician. What's really incredible about him is his grandfather is Hungarian, but he's just been learning the language and singing these songs and doing his own versions and just sort of stitching it together himself, just as an interesting way to connect to that culture, to his roots. And apparently he got a message from a Hungarian guy saying that it was amazing. And he just has no idea if this Hungarian guy understood every single word or thought it was kind of interesting in its quirky way or whatever. But the reality is that his production is amazing. His songwriting is amazing. And I'm no Hungarian, but it sounds to me like his attention to detail and reproducing the words and grammar and vowels, etc., is just amazing. He's an incredible musician. And he plays lots of different instruments: harp, lute, guitar, drums. Very cool. He's a part of a band recently signed to Flying Nun as well called Ringlets, and look forward to having him on. Basically, subscribe to the YouTube channel.
I'll post some links either here, or here. I haven't decided yet. For basically at Sounds of a Sphere. Follow on all socials. Anywhere else we can follow you for information?
No, just YouTube is good, because we launched a video recently that's called Hinrakatauri, and that's a Māori Tonga Pudo performance with sand art, and I'm really happy that one's finally out in the world, because a lot of love and time went into it from myself and 2 other collaborators, and it's just cool to see that one out in the world, and I really just love for as many people to see it as possible.
I love it, man. It reminds me of some sort of psychedelic dream or something.
What he's doing at the moment is performing Tonga Pudo and Marae's around the North Island, and everyone's just lying down with their eyes closed listening to Tonga Pudo, and the response is apparently amazing. Like, it brings out people's emotions. Some people cry, process their emotions, and
wow,
sounds really beautiful.
Yeah, it definitely feels like healing or processing sort of music in that regards. Beautiful stuff, bro. So that Sounds of a Sphere on YouTube as well. 3 videos up there. All of them are amazing. They're completely unique. You have to see them to believe them. The links will be here this time. And hey, Jono, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and just for opening up, and yeah, just for sharing your wisdom and just sharing your vibes and sharing your art as well, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.